Welcome back to the show. This is Real Estate Radio with Damon Gattier of Damon Gattier and Associates Realtors. I'm Brett Sharp, his best friend. Last segment, we talked about businesses that Damon owns. He's got great people that run them, because I would think that would take a lot of your time if you had to run them all. And you're always talking about how great of people you have. Let's talk about real estate for a minute.
Okay.
The great people you have in real estate. So focusing on strategies to save money when they're buying or selling. When we talk about negotiating price in today's market, who actually holds the cards right now, the buyers or the sellers? I don't think this changed since last week, but what's the biggest leverage point people miss? It's still a seller's market, is it not?
Still a seller's market. Who hold cards? Both.
Should we even look at it like that? Who holds the cards?
I think a lot of times it's looked at that as a confrontational situation, and it shouldn't be. I mean, you don't go to Walmart, argue about the price.
It's a good point.
Have a loaf of bread. I mean, the price is the price. We all think gas is overpriced right now, but we don't go to the gas station and offer them less than is posted. And I also think that most consumers know what a house is worth. Like you and I talked about, I definitely know buyers do. And I think sellers, for the most part, know. Sometimes they get love for the house and emotion wrapped up into it. But I think if a house is priced appropriately, then it should sell. I don't know. I've been on a lot of podcasts and everything like, so I can't remember where I've said what. But I said the other day on somebody, it's like, if you find a house you like, pay for it like you like it, you know? But I'm not saying overpay it for it, but if you find a house you like, and that's where you want to live, but you don't, why would you let a couple $1,000s stand in your way? If it's overpriced, don't pay for it. But I don't think most houses out there are overpriced. We're not in the environment that we were 10 years ago, 8 years ago, where, there's 8, 9, 10 months of inventory, where you had to price it below everybody to get activity on it. But I also think, and I got a buddy, he's got a house at the lake right now, I think we talked about last show, 1.7, 1.8, and it's not moving. And he's like, what do I do? I'm like, well, the lake's 6 feet low right now. Chill.
Yeah.
Because it's not the most attractive selling point. When you're you're not advertising a beach, but you're showing one.
Yeah, it's all right.
I mean, it's like, just chill. Let the market fix itself, Same thing with sellers. Like, if this spring's been weird, but fuel prices went high, we had a war start, gas prices are out of control. Chill a bit. It's going to happen.
Just a quick question about cheating. What other podcast are you on other than the one that we're doing right here? What podcast are you on? What's happening here?
So John and I do the one with our agents up in the room that we put on Facebook. So it's got a legit podcast. It's like pod snippets.
Is that where can our listeners find those?
Facebook.
Okay.
YouTube.
David Gattier.
Instagram.
Okay.
TikTok. X.
Oh, you're on them all.
LinkedIn.
Look at you.
Yeah. I think that's all of bragger. Yeah, everywhere.
Well, let's talk about, putting people in their dream homes. If you like the home enough, buy it. Don't let a couple $1,000. But let me ask you this. If a buyer finds their absolute dream home, but it's priced just a little bit out of reach, what are creative ways? I know you're saying don't let a couple $1,000s stop you from buying your dream home, but are there creative ways to negotiate the deal without just asking for a lower purchase price?
Getting the seller to buy the rate down will save you far more money per month than getting $10,000 off.
Buy down the points.
I got it. Yeah, buy down the point.
I may need you to break that down for me a little bit.
So buy down the point. So I would always say, talk to your mortgage professional before you do this. If you want one, I got two. But I would buy down the point. And if you would take $10,000 off the price, it's only going to change your payment $30, $40 a month. Something like that. It's insignificant. If you buy down the points, and so a point is, points 1% of your purchase price. So if it's a $400,000 house, a point will cost you $4,000.
Yeah.
But if you buy your points down, I think the max you can buy down is 3 points.
Oh, I didn't know there was a cap on
the extra max. But if not, then theoretically you can buy it down to zero. Yeah. And long term, if you would keep it forever, would be a good deal no matter what it costs.
And you really don't want to buy down the points unless you're planning on being there long.
Yeah, you need to be there. I think that the break even on them is about 7 years.
Is that what it is? Is that the rule of thumb?
It's about 7 years.
Okay.
So you want to be there long enough. It needs to be a long enough investment for you that you're going to do it. I say that, yes, no, maybe. If you really like the house, that's the only way you can afford it, then it's the only way you can afford it. You're typically far better off, if you were to ask for $10,000 off the cost to buy down the points $10,000 if you want to stay there.
Okay.
To make the monthly payment more attainable. So that'd be the number one thing.
You do that frequently? Do you advise your people? Can you advise them to do it?
Yeah, we can advise them.
Yeah.
We can advise them, but then we always say check with your mortgage professional.
But the reason I ask that is for people listening who have never considered that, all you have to do is ask Damon, and he can help you figure out how to make that work.
Jay and I do that all the time where we're flipping houses. Like,
to get the payment lowered for me.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you got a sub 200 that's sitting and it's priced right, then it's probably just an affordability issue. Like, in that neighborhood, with the economic situation there and the value that's looking there, they can't afford it for some reason. So we'll instead of reducing the price, $5,000, $7,000, $8,000, we'll buy that. We'll put in the MLS. We'll buy the rate down. Here's the proposed rate, and then usually it sells pretty quick because now it becomes attainable.
Yeah, right.
Somebody might have been looking up to 150. That's all they can afford, but now they can afford a 180 because they can afford that payment. So they're payment shopping. So Jay and I, we offer it quite often.
Payment shopping as opposed to bottom line house number shopping, I guess.
You're first time home buyers. A lot of people are.
Yeah.
Is this what's affordable?
Well, because they're used to paying X amount for rent. This is what I feel like I can do with a mortgage.
Well, it's qualified for a mortgage. I mean, when you qualify for a mortgage, they say you're approved for, 150.
Yeah.
And if a lender tells you 150, he don't mean 151. It means 150, And so
They won't lend a dime more than
when a lender at the lower end, when the lender gives you a number, they maxed out everything they can perceive them to get.
Okay.
And so, in that situation, if somebody wants more house, and I'm trying to get them more house, or I'm trying to get them my house, then rather than reduce the price, we'll offer to pay points.
Yeah. So, and I may be duplicating efforts here, things that you've already talked about, but just in the things that I saw online, it says seller concessions, repair credits, and closing costs help. Are those other things to look at, things to stay away from?
Well, closing costs, somebody's got to pay the closing costs, and closing costs are high. On the lower end houses, they probably run 4 to 5%. So, a $200,000 house, you're looking at $8,000-$10,000.
Yeah. It's just honest, legit. Yeah.
Somebody's got to pay that. There are, other thing is on loans, there's a max the seller can pay. So it's one of those things, if you have closing costs, then they can buy down rate, but they can't pay your closing costs and pay 3 points. Because the loan will allow it.
Okay.
Yeah, the different loans just don't allow that.
What are repair credits? What does that mean?
Repair credits, that's really not a thing. And the reason, yes, there are repair credits, but it's kind of a funky thing because when I give you a credit comes off the price. Okay. So let's just say it needs $5,000 for the repairs. All right. So I take $5,000 off the price. Well, where are you going to get the $5,000 to do the repairs?
Yeah, right.
Like, where's that money coming from?
Right.
All right. And if the bank knows about it, if the bank knows there's $5,000 for repairs needed, guess what the bank wants? They want the repairs done.
No doubt.
Like, I'm loaning you money and I'm loaning you money on a broke house.
Yeah.
I don't like repair credits. I like a house fixed. More affluent people, repair credits are fine because I'll get it fixed after closing. I'll fix it the way I want to fix it. Yeah, fine. But if people don't have money, I don't like repair credits because it's not going to get fixed.
What are seller concessions?
That's what we're talking about. Seller closing costs. Concessions are closing costs.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Okay. If you've got questions about any of these things, feel free to reach out to Damon Gattier or any one of his great agents. There's a reason he's the #1 agent for homes sold in Roanoke, Lynchburg, and the NRV. Still got your 14-day guarantee.
Yes, sir.
Which means if Damon doesn't get your house under contract within 14 days, he takes no commission. That still stands?
Yes, sir.
And I mean, your homes, you sell them faster and for more money anyway. Yeah. So get a hold of Damon Gattier and his crew, listwithdamon.com. That's listwithdamon.com.